Never stop reading Bible. Have you ever wondered what it would take to build a nation from the ground up? I'm not just talking about a government, but its entire identity, its laws, its economy, the whole shebang. Well, today, we're diving into an ancient text that's basically exactly that, a blueprint for a brand new society. So if that job landed on your desk, where would you even begin? What are the most important rules you'd lay down first? This blueprint has a very specific and maybe even surprising answer. It's a 4-part plan, and we're going to walk through it, step by step. All right, first things first. According to this plan, you have to lay the foundation. But here's the twist. The foundation isn't about borders or politics. It's about something way more central, defining how and where the entire nation connects with God. Now, to really get this, you have to understand just how radical a shift this was. The cultures all around them had tons of different gods and little shrines basically everywhere. This new law said, nope. Tear all that down. Instead, it's one God worshipped in one single designated place. This was a massive act of centralizing everything. And to make sure this new foundation stuck, the rules were super clear. 1. Get rid of all the old stuff, every last idol and altar. 2. All national worship happens at that one central spot, period. And 3. Even the little things in daily life, like how you prepare your food, were meant to be different, to set you apart. Okay. So you've got your foundation. What's next? You build walls to protect it, right? But these aren't physical walls. These are legal and social walls, and they're designed to protect against threats coming from the inside. And this right here is such a critical idea. The biggest worry wasn't some invading army. It was corruption from the inside out. It was the kind of decay that could rot the society's very core. So the focus was all about keeping the community itself pure and intact. This blueprint gets really specific, and it identifies 3 potential weak spots. First, you've got public figures, like prophets. But then, it gets intensely personal, warning you about your closest family or friends. And finally, it even covers the worst-case scenario. What if a whole town goes rogue? It's a pretty comprehensive defense system for their core beliefs. So the response to these threats was extreme. The instruction was total removal. Now, from our modern view, that sounds incredibly harsh, but within the logic of this blueprint, it was seen as a kind of social surgery. You had to cut out the disease to save the life of the entire nation. So we have the foundation and we have the walls. Now the plan zooms in on the people living inside those walls. How do you actually get citizens to live out this unique national identity every single day? The key word here is holy. But holy in this context doesn't just mean religiously pure in a vague way. It means being tangibly different, set apart. The goal was to create a culture that absolutely did not blend in with its neighbors. And this is how they did it. This distinction was woven into everything, from these deeply personal moments, like how you grieve for a loved one, to something as ordinary as what's for dinner. All these daily choices were constant reminders of their unique identity. This identity also had a really strong social side. You see, the tithing system wasn't just some religious tax. Part of it went to support worship and national celebrations, sure, but then there was this separate tithe, every 3rd year, that was basically a social safety net, specifically for the poor, orphans, widows, and foreigners in their society. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the economy. I mean, if you're trying to build a just society, your finances have to reflect that, right? Well, this plan lays out a truly unique and compassionate economic system. And the key to this whole economic engine is this number, 7. It's the rhythm of their economy. It's the number that triggers a society-wide reset, what they called the sabbatical year. So what happens every 7 years? It is wild. Imagine a national reset button. First, any personal debts between citizens are just gone, wiped clean. Second, any of their fellow Hebrews who had become indentured servants are set free. And third, and this is so important, the wealthy are commanded to give generously to help them get back on their feet. It was a genuine fresh start for everyone. So you see, this wasn't just about charity. It was a structural fix. It was an economic reset button that was literally hardwired into the system. It was designed specifically to stop a permanent underclass from ever forming and make sure the cycle of poverty could actually be broken. Okay, let's just step back for a second and look at the whole picture. When you put all these pieces together, the worship, the laws, the personal identity, the economy, what you get is this radical, cohesive vision for a totally new kind of nation. Yet this wasn't a society that was just supposed to happen by accident. It was intentionally designed, engineered to be different. Every single law we've looked at, from that one central sanctuary all the way to the sabbatical year, was another brick in the wall of a nation with a completely unique identity. So after all of that, what's the end game? What was the ultimate point of this incredibly detailed, really demanding social plan? Well, it really boils down to two huge ideas. The goal was to build a nation that was, on the one hand, holy, meaning radically set apart and different from everyone else, and on the other hand, just, a society that was structured to intentionally care for all of its members, especially the most vulnerable. It's a pretty profound vision of a nation built not on power, but on purpose. This explainer was developed using source material from the Center Studio. Thanks so much for watching.